Hello, artist. I'm going to go ahead and show you how you can start to make a stuffed animal. These ones with the silly faces are actually stuffed animals called ugly dolls, which are so ugly, they're cute. So, there are two different ways to do this. On this one, I hot glued it. I actually did no sewing on this project. However, there might be an option for you to sew for those of you who are willing to accept the challenge. So, let's get started. I need a piece of paper, and this is where I'm going to design my stuffed animal. So, keep in mind, he is flat. So he's got one piece of fabric on the front and then one piece of fabric on the back. So keep that in mind, all right? That means you're not going to add like a bunch of different stuff unless you're going to sew it differently. Okay, so I need to sketch my idea and use all of my paper. I'm going to make this a peanut shape. With maybe an arch foot. And little horns. Okay. I hope you can see that. I know looking at the smartboard for a sketch or whatever it is you're looking at this on is probably not the best. But when you sketch, remember that you are going back and forth lightly. That helps me draw a better shape, especially knowing that that's just what this is, a sketch. This is my example. Okay, so let's say I love it. It's so cute. And I use the whole paper. Well, you can move on to the next step, but if you want to, you can sort of start planning its little face. Okay, so what you're going to do then is you're going to cut it out of the paper. Next, after you cut it out, and it shouldn't be that hard to cut out because it should be a pretty simple shape. I forgot to say, if you mess up on the front of the paper, flip it over before you just throw it away. Remember, paper comes from trees, so you need to be a good custodian of Earth. Help her out. Or just draw over your drawing. It's a sketch, remember? It doesn't really matter so much. Okay, I can recycle that. And the next thing I'm going to do is select my two pieces of fabric. So you do not have to have them so that they are to the same fabrics, but I do. And mine are different on the inside versus the outside. So here's where you need to make a choice, if you have a choice. If you are going to be sewing, actually, never mind. But I was going to say, then you need to make yours go inside out, but you don't. Okay, forget all of that. But our clothes, for example, are sewn inside out. So when whoever sewed this was sewing it looking at this side, and they were working on this stitches right here. And then the actual clothing that you wear is flipped inside out. That is how most clothes are made. But because we are beginners, we are going to keep it looking at the beautiful side, and it's got the ugly side sandwiched in between. You're going to take your, now it's not just a sketch, but it's going to be a stencil, and you are going to use pins to pin it to your fabric. So pins are different than needles. Needles have an eye where you put the thread through, and pins have some kind of head on them that's a blocker. I like to keep all the extra fabric because we could still use them. Like maybe with this extra bit, I will make a couple little arms. It'd be really cute if I made a couple little arms. Boop. He could be holding his own hand. Okay, so I'll go ahead, make sure that both fabrics are on it, and you are going to need probably 3 or 4 pins to pin it in place. This is what I see. I often see people do this. I should have chosen a different fabric. The purple one's hard. Telling me that this is a pin. No, friends, this is a dangerous situation. You just have a sharp pokey bit sticking out the end. Warning also, little kids are extremely good at finding things. They can find a needle in a haystack. Please make sure that you are being aware of where you're putting your pins and making sure they are getting back to their correct home. I don't want any little one using them like tiny swords. Okay, anyway, back to this. I've stuck it in. It's a little of the ways out. And what I'm gonna do is I need to bring it back up. So I just fold my whole piece and I can know that the needle end is right here and I could just stick it through. Again, the purple fabric's a little tough. All right. And I'm just gonna put probably 2 more of these. And the purpose of this is to hold your paper down so it doesn't shift when you start to cut it in a minute. Put it in a little bit, fold your fabric around it, and push. It needs to come back out the same side that you're putting it in. And I'm gonna do one more. I'll put them all over here, put it in just a little bit so you can fold it, pinch it around, and push it up. Okay, next. You will need pretty sharp scissors. If you do not have your own sharp scissors that you have brought with you, I have some sharp scissors. And I'm gonna go around my creature. Now the cutting counts, okay? Because we're gonna see the edges of your fabric. So be mindful of what you are doing. If you need to put an extra pin because your paper keeps shifting, that could be, you of course are welcome to. The pins are there to help you cut it out better. Okay. So that is almost everything for today. I'm going to try to speed cut this. Remember basic rules of cutting. Point the scissors away from you, not all the way around. Your arm can't actually bend by the time I'm over by the legs. Cut things out in chunks so it's less intimidating. I could store that fabric. Again, keep it please, because there's either you might want to use it for other details, or we're going to put it away in another area that we can save it for other artworks, because fabric is fun. If you like doing this, I imagine you have a lot of things that you could do this with at home too. If you ask your grown-ups permission, maybe you have some an old t-shirt, for instance, that you could make into your own version of an ugly doll or something like that. Okay, guys, thank you for your patience. I'll bring that one so you have something to look at besides me just cutting. So I'll see that I'm going to need to clean up some of these edges. I can see that they're looking a little bit rough. That I won't make you watch. If you have little bitty scraps like what I'm about to cut off here, just throw these guys away. I don't think anybody wants those. Okay, so the last thing you're going to do today anyway, and you don't have to get this far, remember, if you're like, what, today, all of this? Some of you work fast, some of you are going to really take your time and make a really thoughtful design. Others of you are going to rush, you know it, just like I know it. You can take the pins and remove the paper. I'm going to keep the paper though, because I like my design and maybe I want to work on it again. And I'm still going to keep a couple pins in my creature just to hold it together. And I can go back and tidy any of the fabric bits. Return one of them. I think I just need one more. And this is what my creature looks like. Boring. Good thing we're going to jazz it up. In the next art class, I'm going to show you how we're going to get everything stuck together and we can start the stuffing. So it's actually pretty small. That's why you need the whole piece of paper. All right, artiste, happy arting today.